Hey, what's up guys? So today in this video, we are going to tackle the front end of our application because we have created two APIs. One, which is the creation of collections, and the second is the listing of collections, which gives us paginated data, right? So what I want to do is first create a page where the collections are listed. So let's quickly look at the code that I have written over here. So I'll go to Visual Studio Code, and there are around 5 files which I have made changes to. So let's go one by one. First of all, I created a collections folder, and inside that I have index.tsx where I have this listing page. Now this is going to be very similar to the index of our URLs. So I have actually stored in quite a few code. For example, if you see, I have, let me open both of them over here, close this out, and maybe we can do something like collection index and yeah, things like this. So first of all, as you can see, maybe no, this is a little confusing. So let me come over here. So the first thing is I'm declaring this paginated collections. Why? Because that is the data which we will get from our API call. Very similar to paginated URLs. Okay, paginated collections extends paginated data. Let's quickly see what is that. It is the shape of the data which Laravel sends us as paginated object, and in here the only thing which is unknown is data. And what I have done over here is paginated collection, I have declared what is the kind of data that I'm expecting. I'm saying that it is an array of type collection, which I have declared right now. It's an interface collection which extends iModel. iModel again has three properties: ID, created at, and updated at, because this is common for every model. And I have name and creator ID, which is specific to that particular model, because as you can see inside our database, we have ID, name, creator ID, and then the timestamps, right? So that is as far as the interface go. Then I have this collection index, which is the next page. Okay, this next page has a breadcrumb. This breadcrumb data is required because I send that to my layout file over here, and that results in, where is my Chrome, in this collection, right? So I can go to home, I can go over here, and this is how the collection works. Next thing is I'm taking the calling the use router hook, because I need to have this query param adjusted, because the paginated data will work based on that, right? So if you see, I have the router, then I created a state variable, I have page and set page, right? And by default, I am checking if I have a query parameter called page, then I set that, otherwise I default it to 1. Then I have my collection data, which will be ideally coming from the Ajax request. So I have the variable and the set function. I'm saying that this state can be of type paginated collections, which we declared over here, right? Or it can be null, and by default I'm setting this as null. Then I have this fetch collections function, function method, whatever you call it, right? Which is an async function. It uses the HTTP service to call this particular collection URL, and the page is dynamic because that's where the router comes into picture. We take the response. If the response is 200, then we set the collection data to the response data that we get. And this function is being called from our use effect, which changes every time there is a change in the page variable, right? It is reactive to that. So the rest of the markup is pretty straightforward. I have the layout component, I have the title, the breadcrumbs, then I have the heading, then I have this link for button, which I haven't completely finished. Okay, then I have collection data, I have some basic checks that it should not be null, stuff like that, and then I render this collection data table. This is very similar to how I even did my URL. If you see, this is the links table, this is the collection table, Okay, I pass that data, and then the structure is very straightforward. It is very similar to what I have done in the past as well, which is, I send the data. I'm saying it is an array of I collection. I have the initial table over here, right? And then based on the data length being more than 0, right, I map and I define all the TDs which are required for this table to render. Obviously, along with some CSS classes. And yes, this get local function which converts the collection dot updated at machine timestamp into something which is a little more meaningful. Okay, so that is done, and then we already had a pagination component where I passed the data object, and it pretty much did everything because this was kind of set, right? So we have collection data dot total. If it is more than the per page thing, then the collection will come in. Otherwise, we don't render the collection. And then if for some reason, for example, right, cd dot dot perfectionist API code dot, and let's just say I bring the collection controller, and instead of pagination being 10, I do 1. And if I refresh, you will see this pagination is coming, right? I go to page 2, I go to page 1, everything is working fine. We are doing maximum amount of code reusability because these are very repetitive stuff, right? So yeah, with this thing in place, we have our listing page ready. I practically, use the entire code, almost the entire code which was there for the URL listing, and that is how I'm able to quickly get that page into place. And yeah, that's about it. So if you like this video, do click on the thumbs up icon and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.